Hello everybody, today I'm going to be taking a look at the newest version of the working title mod for the Cessna Citation CJ4 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. The current version is 0.4.0, and this version includes some major upgrades to the MFD, as well as some improved functionality to the FMS, and also major overhauls to the engine performance and fuel consumption calculations. So throughout this demo flight of sorts today, I'm going to be doing my best to highlight as many of these new features as I can. So let's go ahead and jump in the cockpit and get going. Okay, so here we are in the cockpit of the CJ4. We're currently sitting on the ramp at Orbex's London City Airport. We're going to be taking off just before sunrise, so this will give us a good look at the lighting in the CJ4. And also at the airfield, which looks pretty good. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hide the yoke here. And first thing we'll do is turn the battery on and set avionics to dispatch. This will allow us to use our FMS without discharging the battery before we have a chance to start the engines. And so we'll go ahead, pause TrackIR so it's not wobbling all over the place. So first thing we'll do is hit next and set our GNSS position. Next we'll go to flight plan, and so today we're going from London City down to St. Tropez. So Lima Fox Tango Zulu. Okay, and before I hit next and start plotting the route, I'll go to departures, and we'll be taking off runway 27, and we'll go ahead and hit next here, and we'll be flying the LID 5 Tango departure. Okay, so now that we have that in, we can go to flight plan, hit next. And so our first waypoint after the SID will be direct to Zamib, so XAMAB. And I'll put that in the 2. And now a really nice feature with the 0.40 update is that airways are now working. So instead of typing in all of the fixes on this jetway, I can now, just moving my map down so I can see. So we're taking the Uniform Lima 612 airway, and we'll enter this in VIA. And we're going to be exiting the airway at the Mullins VOR, so MOU, and we'll put this in 2. And just waiting for Microsoft Flight Simulator to get in. There we go. So then after MOU, going to Omani. Then the Roan VOR. And the VOR is at north 46 degrees, so I'll select that one. Hit next. And I'll just speed this up so it saves time here. Okay, so our last waypoint here is the St. Tropez VOR. Enter that in and hit execute. So now, next thing I want to show off is the new feature, the checklist button down here. And that will bring up this box up here. So now we control it with the menu and data scroll wheel. So we'll hit select. Now we can like cycle through which checklist we want. So I'm done with the before engine start. And I can just show it here. So you just have to keep pushing the select button and it'll just keep advancing. So now we're up to engine start, and I'll turn this off just so I can see the warning lights here. So we'll get the engine started with engine 2, select run, and we'll turn our beacon on. And we're just going to monitor, make sure N1 is rising, and just keep an eye on the ITT, make sure it comes up. Okay, starter switch is off. That was a good start. Let's go ahead and start engine 1. Hit run. And I'll turn the, this is another new feature, the safety light.
May I have your attention, please? At this time, please comply with the illuminated seat belt and no smoking signs. Thank you.
Okay, so we can continue with our planning here. Go to the performance in it. So we can put in 2 passengers. We're carrying 250 pounds of cargo. Cruising altitude will be at flight level 380. I'm scared to go much higher than that just because of the dolphin dance. Okay, so starter light went out. Engine 1 has a good start. So I'll turn avionics on. And next we'll get our wind. So we can go to progress next. Current wind is about 330, 11 knots. So we go to takeoff. 330, 11 knots. And it has runway 27 selected from our departure page. Temperature 10 Celsius. Oops. Wrong box there. And QNH, the altitude of the airfield is 19 feet. So about 3024. Enter that in. So now we can hit next. And it does not look like we need anti-ice for this takeoff. And we'll take off with 15 degrees of flaps. Rotate of 98 knots. V2 112 and V1 96. So we'll hit send. And we have our V speeds on our speed tape. Another thing I want to point out on performance, on the fuel management page, I no longer have to press the reset button for the fuel to start counting. So that's really nice. So we'll go ahead and continue setting this up. Turn climate control on to normal, air source to normal, turn the fan down. Autopilot up next, so we'll hit flight director, arm LNAV, vertical speed, and our initial restriction is 3,000 feet and 210 knots, so we'll set that up on the speed bug. And I'm basically going to be flying this departure as a GPS departure just because the autopilot is having a lot of issues following VOR courses. Okay, so we can... I'll put this on weather. And another thing they added is you have this blue tab sort of to simulate the weather radar. It's pretty neat. So our lower menu, I'll put it in arc. I just prefer it like that. And the top, instead of the checklist, I'll put the FMS text, which is now showing the progress page, which is really nice. So you can basically fly with the legs page up and have the progress page up here as well. Super useful. Okay, just final things here. We'll turn the pitot heat on. Get a nav light on now. Increase the lighting a bit. And decrease the light of the MFD and PFD just because it's still dark out. Okay, and just final thing here, we'll turn the logo light on, seatbelt sign.
May I have your attention, please? The captain has turned on the seatbelt sign. Please fasten your seatbelt and shoulder harness at this time. Thank you.
Okay, turn the taxi light on. I will unpause TrackIR. Reset. Release the parking brake. Keep the brakes set. Now roll forward, just test the brakes. Good. Okay, we can start our taxi. I'll set the takeoff trim. Make sure we don't hit anything. Thought that plane had the same skin as me, I was gonna say. Stealing my skin. Okay, just take the runway here. Looks clear, so we're just gonna back taxi to the end of the runway. And I'll be back in a second. Okay, so here we are at the end of runway 27. Go ahead and get the light set up, so we'll turn taxi light off, turn landing light on, and also turn the strobe lights on. Final looks clear, so we'll go ahead and take the runway. And I actually had to take my dog out, so if the sky looks a little different, I had the game in active pause for a few minutes. And you can actually see the improved lighting effects. With the landing light, you can actually see stuff with it on. And you can see the strobe light reflecting off the ground, which is actually a really cool effect. When you're flying in real life, you can see it pretty well too. Okay, so brakes set. Release brakes. Increase the takeoff power. Rotate. Gear up. Go flaps up. And go ahead and turn the autopilot on. Take it back. Speed up a bit more. Still too slow. The dolphin dance is going to get us. Okay, keep that turn going to the right. can see the O2 down there. And we got downtown London. Okay, there's 3,000 feet. So try and level off here. Try and get control to the autopilot. Hopefully it can handle 210 knots. Okay, and this waypoint sort of indicates about 18 DME from the London VOR, so we can lose our 210 knot speed restriction. It's now 250 knots until we pass 10,000 feet. And we can now climb at our own discretion, so I'll go ahead and take the plane up to cruising altitude, and I'll see everybody in a few minutes. Flight level 380 is not going to work. Okay, so here we are now established at 36,000 feet, and we're cruising at about 0.73 Mach. And now that we're in cruise, I can start to go over some of the in-flight features that Working Titles added to the CJ4. So first thing is, actually I showed this on startup, but there were no values since we were on the ground. But now that we're in the air on our flight plan, we can see that it's basically repeating, if you go to index, progress, it's repeating all of the information from the progress page. So that's super useful. I can keep track of times to waypoints and distance to your destination up here, rather than having to go down here and change the FMS pages. And if you go next, it still has this wind page back here, which is extremely handy. Actually, on my climb, I was getting at one point 122 knot tailwind. So I was doing like 400 or 500 knots ground speed in a climb, which was pretty fun. Okay, so I got that. Next thing I want to show off is if you go to upper menu, go to systems, go ahead and hide that. We can now see, so we're at 36,000 feet at almost 0.74 Mach. Fuel flow is about 660 pounds per hour, and I know the devs were saying in one of their demo videos that at 40,000 feet at cruise, they're getting about 615 pounds per hour. So I'd have to double check the numbers that I saw, but that looks pretty dead on for fuel flow given our current altitude. That's pretty much all I really had to show for the in-flight portion of the flight, and I will pick this up once I'm thinking I'll probably pick it up once we're close to final. So I'll see everybody in a few more minutes. Okay, so here we are. We're just about to finish our terminal arrival at Nekip, and as we get close to the runway here, I'll go to performance, approach, and according to local airports, St. Tropez doesn't have an ATIS, so I just used an average of nearby airfields. We're going to set wind to 300 at 10 knots, just as a guess. Temperature about 15 Celsius. And nearest altimeter is 2997. We'll hit next. Oops. Okay, so I guess my page is bugged at the moment. So we're just going to guess about, say, 115 knots approach and 109 for a VREF. Still a little fast, 130 knots. And it looks like we're actually going to have a pretty good headwind on landing, so that's nice.
500.
Okay, there's 500 feet. Turn to get the center line. Gonna come in just a little bit high so we cleared those trees at the end of the runway. And we're now on our estimated approach speed. Now got a bit of a crosswind from the right. We're over the threshold, so we'll go idle, slow to VREF. Touchdown, speed brake out. It's loaded pretty long there. Get on the brakes. Okay. Not the best landing, but it'll do. Speed brake up, flaps up. And we'll also turn the landing light and strobe light off. Actually, I came in at a pretty bad angle, but it's okay. Should clear those cars. No. We gotta crank it around to the right. Okay, there we go. Now to shut it off, we'll turn the air conditioning and air source off, pitot heat off, avionics off, turn all of our lights off, shut down both engines, get the generators and then the battery, and also don't forget the parking brake. Okay, so that's the end of this quick demo flight. Hopefully that gave people a good idea of some of the new features that you can expect in the 0.40 version of the working title mod for the Cessna Citation CJ4. I'm looking forward to their next patch, which is expected around sometime next week, maybe. And even beyond the patch, really looking forward to some more features that they have. So thanks for everybody that watched, and I'll see everybody next time.